Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Leese.
And I'm Team Jonathan Byer.
I'm Team Magenta Machina. This is the skating lesson. We are going to be discussing all things that happened in figure skating this last week, and mostly at the Channel 1 Cup in Russia. So if you are new here, please subscribe below, smash that like button, because not only am I getting over COVID, Jonathan is standing during this show because he had surgery, it had complications. He can't currently sit down. He can only lie down or stand. So if the sound is a little off, you know, we're adjusting ceilings and where we are,
Yeah,
we're making it work.
It was me standing here, Dave, or you were just gonna get like a centerfold, like in bed, and I was gonna be like, really love her quad lots. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had a surgery. How are you feeling?
Fine. Yeah, it sounds so dramatic. I just had like a series of cysts removed from my lower back. And so because of its location, I can't be sitting. I'm only supposed to be laying down or standing. But I think that good skating is worth standing up for.
Good. Well, I am still not on my regular computer. This has been like a series of unfortunate events. At the same time, I don't know if I explained this last week, but at the same time that I came down with COVID and it might have even been before. Like I woke up one day and my screen on my computer didn't work on my personal. And I also use my personal for some work stuff that I do because of different drop boxes and stuff that don't work with our work, you know, file download limits and things like that, and a new position that I'm in that I've been like trying to do. So it's been like a nightmare because I, of course, made an appointment for Apple. Then it snowed. And when it snowed, I couldn't get the appointment. I obviously had to move the appointment, and it like took for a while to get it. And once I had made the appointment, of course, that's when I came down with COVID. So then my dad had to bring it when he was over COVID, but I had COVID. And they said it was going to take 5 to 7 days period, which is a complete lie. And I don't understand like why Apple, you know, they have such a monopoly on everything. Why can't they afford to have more people there during the pandemic? Like, let's put people to work, especially when you have so many people and so much money that you don't pay taxes on. Apple Corporation, looking at you. It's frustrating, but I understand that it's a pandemic and there are much bigger problems, and you know, it is what it is, and we're just going to make it work for the day. But I don't have all my bells and whistles and editing and all of that kind of stuff. So,
except you have matching headphones to your turtleneck. And I mean, I guess I kind of do, but yours I find much more impressive. It's like a bridal party. Like you got the coordinating headphones. It's nice.
You know what? And that judge with the Marina Anissina hair really stole my look. I had planned this out from, okay, I wanted this from before Christmas. I had seen this and I thought I had ordered it, but I think on the website, maybe it didn't go through. It was like a challenging website to order this one from. I'm a big online shopper. I think everyone is during COVID, you know. So then my like skating crush, Ben Guthrie on he's just like so Canadian and so nice, and he's always doing such like beautiful edges, you know, like a real Robin Cousins type, you know, from Canada, and he's just so Canadian, right? And I was giving him options of my, you know, and he was like, "This is the best one." And I agreed. So I knew I was going to save it for like a big event, and it was coming when I had COVID. It was like one of the only things to look forward to. So I was so excited, and then she stole my look. So you know what?
When it's a good look like that, you know, and she was all hair on one side. I was enjoying her introduction.
And where does every Russian woman get that particular? That's not a color I've seen in nature. I only see it in Russia, and you know what? It looks great. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
autumn sunrise? What do they call it in Ghost? Autumn sunrise.
They look great. All right, it's a fantastic look. But yeah, so much to unpack. I have, you know, I was in house arrest because I was staying with my parents, and like when I got COVID and everything, so I was in house arrest for almost 2 weeks. So and because I didn't have a computer, I was like only watching stuff on my phone. So I have been doing Duolingo like around.
Good for you.
And I was #1 in the Ruby League until I was watching this event, and someone passed me. What is her name? I don't know, but like Duolingo like sends the abbreviation, and I was not doing my Pimsleur as much because I couldn't talk that much. it's this problem. So I feel like it's taunting me that this says I'm now
the owl is taunting you. Yeah.
I am now number 2 in the Ruby League. We are going to have to just rush through about what we are studying on. We're learning about apples and, what's on the table and who is eating what and, who's.
And it's worth it. I don't know if a BuzzFeed exists, but one definitely should for like hilarious sentences that Duolingo will have you put together. Like the apple is on the library shelf from the girl's boyfriend or something. And you're like, what? Do I need to know how to say this sentence? What's happening?
When I finish my Duolingo experience and my Pimsleur experience and like Babbel, I want to do a review of like comparing the different apps because I think it's hilarious how one starts with like conversations and like you could go to the restaurant and like, for Pimsleur, beer is very important. We must learn beer first, but I think that their theory is that maybe someone who's doing Pimsleur is going to go and this could actually help them order something.
Yeah.
But Duolingo is like, no, we're going to start with horses and apples and hysterical. So anyway, moving along. But yeah, even there's like a TSL viewer. Her name is Kim J. And I feel like she was starting to be, I think she wanted to like see what I was doing on Duolingo. And then I think she realized that I was like an intense person. And she was like, how did you get like 3,000 points in a week? But you have to understand that like I literally was just laying in my bed and not doing anything else except for like Duolingo and like maybe watching a couple YouTube videos from time to time. That's it. So anyway, I got tired of being like, because when you start Duolingo and you have friends that are like veterans, like my friend Brian Clement, who also plays the viola. He messaged me and he wanted justice for viola players after last week. I
was trying to give it to him. My whole graduate recital, I remembered after the fact, was all voice viola and piano music. I toured that program over the world. There's some good repertoire in there, Dave.
He said that, yes, he did make it to All-State playing the viola, but that he claims that it was, I forget what his thing was, but his brother's a viola player too. They're twin brothers. They are both half Japanese, former Mormons, both gay, both married, both love figure skating, and they both play the viola. These are our people, okay?
Musically speaking, viola is kind of the ice dance of the string community. I thought that's another good way to think about it.
I love these people, but I have to say, the ice dance event at the Channel 1 Cup in Russia, snoozy.
Annabelle, a little bit.
Annabelle, I am so sorry, but this event, I have to tell you, Annabelle, that I am always rooting for you. We are like ice dance, ice house sisters. I feel like we have been through the struggle of like these divas in the ice house and come out on the other side. And let me tell you, I believe that Shcherbakova was doing more work to get on camera than you were, Annabelle. She was forcing herself. She was practically laying.
It was shameless. It was shameless, the airtime they were trying to get in those teams. They all snuggled up right to the right person at the right time. And I kept being like, who are these? And I was like, right, the lower level ice dancers are really clawing their way in.
Dare you? How dare lower level? The 2026 ice dancers, call them. These are women.
Okay.
No, okay. Annabelle, you should go by Morozova. I think that is the community consensus. You need to seem a little bit more Russian and a little bit more engaged with, everyone.
What about that free dance dress? Was stunning, I thought.
Of course.
Yeah. And you know
Annabelle was a Ford model. Do you not understand? This is what we like about her. She's a little bit above it when she's there. And that's why I would like her to be a little bit more engaged. Her personality, I felt that the Red Machine, here's the difference between like Alina and Evgenia. And I love them both, but for like very different reasons. I think Zagitova has a very sincere, very naive, very innocent energy to her. I think she very much is like Danny G and Eteri told her what to do. She feared for her life. She went out there and skated. She won. Everyone is happy. Xenia is like this gritty girl, right? But like sometimes like she's a star, right? Like Alina seems very genuine. Medvedeva, Xenia seems like a superstar out there. She is like sometimes maybe texting, sometimes, like find her kazoo. I don't know what she's like doing, but I felt like Zagitova's team, the Red Machine, they had like a very united energy to them. It was just like pure good vibes. I think, you know what, they had the better ladies, okay? And that's what the difference was. There was nothing that Xenia could do, and I feel like they claimed that it was, they claimed it was a random draw, but I just felt like if you have the good ladies, it's going to be stacked for you in Russia.
But wouldn't good television have been doing that random draw as part of the event? Do you know what I mean? Like that would have been fun.
Like anything in Russia, if I hear it's a random draw, I want to see it happen. Okay, I want to see them pick it out of the hat because I don't trust it. Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
All right, and
it was interesting because I thought Medvedeva was very much still a competitor, and she was feeling that like competitive energy that she wanted her team to win. Where I felt like Zagitova was a little bit more emulating what a coach might do in the scenario. She was watching with coach eyes a lot of times, or...
Oh, I thought Evgenia was the coach, because I think Evgenia is the next Eteri. I believe that she will, one day coach at Sambo. And I got that this is Eteri's spiritual daughter. Whether or not Diana Davis, looks more like her and like in a Kathy and Catherine situation, maybe Evgenia's the real, Wuthering Heights daughter of...
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems to me that the energy. But I have a hilarious story about cultural differences, and I think that it really exemplifies. So Canadians have this thing that they do at the cricket club. It's so Canadian, and it does not happen in Russia, and we cannot blame Xenia for it, but it's just hysterical, okay? And you just have to laugh at the whole situation. So when Xenia was first training at the cricket club, she fell on her lutz. And the Canadians do this thing where if you make a mistake, they clap, like, come on, girl, come on. Like they clap for you to
rally you. Yeah.
That is not a thing in Russia.
No, it would be considered cruel, I bet. Like it's an ironic clapping there, I would wonder. Yeah.
So once upon a time, Xenia's doing her tango. Gabby Daleman clapped for her. Maybe it was a situation in the ring. Maybe they were using, maybe they weren't in the same session for a while. Tracy had to perhaps intervene. I mean, couldn't you picture it? I believe that Alina might respond well to a clapping, where Evgenia would understand why it is not okay, and certainly not okay for my potential competitor to be clapping when I fall. My inner dialogue is very much Evgenia in that situation. Okay.
Well, and I guess also from who it is coming, like, if Jason Braun was there clapping and being like, come on, you got this, it might be different than if Gabby Daleman is standing there doing a slow clap from your...
Gabby Daleman, who was once on the world podium with me, even if it was accidental, how dare you? Okay. My inner Xenia was... You can
Amazing.
I believe,
and it's really interesting in these kinds of scenarios also for them to have so much of that performance adrenaline and competition energy, but actually no physical task at hand to expel it, no actual competing themselves to. This is something I experienced when we were kind of switching to online performances, or when the performance is finished and you turn it up or turn it down?
Turn it down a little bit.
She's screaming.
She's screaming a little bit, but I was going to say, I think it needs to be in the future, because we don't know, there's no history between the Red Machine and the Team of Firsts or whatever, however it translates into Russian, because it doesn't really translate into English, and that's some funny shit. But I think that the Medvedeva team, unless it's going to be the same people every year, it makes no sense. It's who cares? So I think that unless it's going to be Moscow versus St. Petersburg, I think that we need to do bring in another country like the US versus Russia, or Canada North America versus Russia. No, it needs to be the US and Russia. There needs to be some real competitive feeling, right? We need to bring all the Marie France ice dancers and be you have your ladies, we've got Nate and Jen. And I think Alexa Kaniram would be perfection for this kind of event.
Yes, she would have. I was curious as when we get to the pairs, where you feel she might fit into some of these Russians, because it was interesting. The pairs were the most interesting for me to watch here, because they have not announced their world selection, right?
I think those teams have chosen themselves. Okay.
So who are you leaving at home out of those top four? Galyamov?
No, are you?
No, I don't. Sorry. The Hodikin, right?
Like
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
What kind of meds are you on, honey?
The good ones.
Look, Adam,
but I think Galyamov needed this event because they changed their narrative entirely after nationals. They were left really vulnerable after nationals. I think they made such a strong statement here.
Okay. How much do you love that clearly the tension in the Moscovina rink between Boykova and
and they put them together. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it feels like how like Elena described it when it gets a little tense. I am so for it. I feel because and like Boykova has always been such a sweet like competitor, but like did you see when she doubled that triple Salchow Euler, triple Salchow, I felt like and it was her own mistake, and you could tell she was not happy. And also
the uncharacteristic slip up on the throw in the short too. She just seemed a little off her game here. She was really dark in the kiss and cry.
Well, a year ago, they had all the good vibes behind them, right? And here's the thing. I think that there are some people that benefit from having a close competitor in the rink. I think it's getting in her head and perhaps in her head more. I think he is what he is, but she seems more affected by Mishina Galyamov, although it is pushing them to add more content. I think maybe a year ago, they felt like all the energy was, boosting them and supporting them in the rink. And now if you look, they're the ones that are adding in the content. Even though they were more successful overall throughout the season, I think that the potential for Mishina Galyamov is much higher, as we saw here. And to me, it looks like, oh, now they're adding in the Salchow Euler Salchows, but she's not having, a successful first outing with it. She's having a mistake in the short. It just seems like they're a little bit more aware that there are two other teams that are more equivalent to them. But, they were always kind of the consistent team that was riding the wave of when your scores increase, when you're consistent. Now we've seen this program. I'm sick of this music. And we've seen how many competitions. Think about it, they do it every day for 2 years.
Right.
It's not original in skating. And it just feels like they don't have, it feels like maybe last year was their year. It was like the magic. I think there are times in your life when like everything is just lining up so perfectly. And it seemed like for them, maybe they would have pulled off a world title, and I think for Kosternaya, if she did last year, although she did seem injured right before Worlds and what happened, it seems like maybe not. I do have to say, I don't agree with putting Tarasova and Morozov first in the free. I think that Mishina and Galyamov were the better performance. For me, I think there were too many errors for them to really be pulling out the score.
But it's always been clear, like where someone like Boykova, it was so refreshing, was because we had for so many years Tarasova and Morozov that had all the ingredients, and we always wanted to reward them with all the points, and they never allowed it. So now that they're giving us even the bare minimum, I think it's also a sentence to Boykova that like, yeah, we've always just been waiting for them to hit, but it's been great that you were consistent while they weren't.
Look, Queen Tessa, I think she's filming a mattress commercial this week, or maybe it was the Stella Artois commercial, or maybe it was, she's very busy, I can't keep track. She was modeling. Okay, this week, yes, we were modeling. She agrees that like her, Tarasova has a beautiful body, but she has none of the face and none of the passion. Tarasova can hit a beautiful position, but she doesn't know to arch the upper back and put her chin back when she's up in the lift. They're just things that she doesn't know. She doesn't respond to the music. She does what she's told, but she has no passion. She is not performing with soul. And when I look at Mishina Galyamov, even though they're skating to Queen, like they feel it. Like they feel something that's maybe not a traditional, not beautiful piece of music, but they bring a little bit of excitement and they bring you in. And
he has that touch of like X Factor flair. And it was interesting because that moment that can be so effective, and this time he hit the side-by-side jump, so it was extra effective, that like slide on the ice beforehand, but he took the time, you saw this time also from getting up from that and into the jump. that it was totally possible. But he has something very special and performative about him in particular, I find, where I think if I'm Marina and I'm looking at an Olympic season for Tarasova and Morozov, I'm going total war horse, absolute like huge classical music. And it will be undeniable. Their PCS will just go through the roof.
I have to tell you, I think Ponomarenko has to be going to Marina. I think it has to be going there. We haven't heard, but I have a feeling. And also, did you see that Scott Moyer, they announced not only is he having his own school, he's officially the head of I Am Montreal.
I know, and there was something in the material where it was like, I am coach or something. And I was like, where are articles? Okay.
Listen, is that name a little bit, I love it. I love Marie-France. I love the whole deal. Yes, it's a little bit on the nose, a little bit like Instagram meme, a little bit, you know what, but it's perfect for skating and the whole deal. But yes, it is 100% like I feel like Marie-France was talking to like what's the mental coach, Stephanie, right? And I feel like they came up with this together. And you know what? It's empowering. I think for skaters, you know, they're very literal. Some of them are not that experienced in life. I think it works for them. Okay. It's all I am. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They are. Okay.
Yes. Okay. It does come across like a little bit.
The best. Yeah.
I was going to say almost maybe like a little bit like pretentious, but I you know what? It seems good-natured.
Nothing will beat Get Up. To me, again, we've discussed it. Sounds like, you know, a kind of
annual Get Up day. So
yeah. How about Get Back Up or something? It lets me know that you've gotten down and now you're getting back up, and it's not just a blue pill or something. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I thought that the pairs here, you know, I was like looking at this and I'm like, what I'm wondering is, will Sui and Han show up at the World Championships at this point? Because they've been out of competition for so long. I don't know if they've even been in training, and you're not just going against like the whole world is, you know, peaking for this one event and they haven't really had competitions. It's not exactly an even playing field when Russia has really done the most to keep everyone competing and keep everyone mentally like sharp, right? Like these skaters, maybe they're even competing a little bit more than they would be. I think when you add in who will be at the Russian Cup final and that, it seems like they are really very much making the most. I don't think that's, I think because they've competed so many times, I wouldn't want Sui and Han to go against them and then not perform well. But then you think if they miss a whole season, how is that going to be? I don't know.
But they've done that several times. So if anyone can do it, I think it's them.
Yeah, but I think the season that they did do it, we did see them at least at Four Continents before and saw them do it. I don't think anyone knows what's happening there, the team that keeps us guessing. I just think the Russians look ready to maybe sweep at the World Championships. I do think that Alexa and Brandon and KMT would have very solid performances, as well as Peng and Shin, and I think it's very interesting. But I think there's a clear trajectory for some of these Russian teams that is going to be very difficult for other people to contend with, because they're competing all the time. And you know what, their skaters have just benefited. Look at how much Daria Usacheva has grown from 2 years ago to last year to this year to being, you know, basically a senior lady in Russia against all of these competitors and performing toe-to-toe with them.
Well, even like you're saying, Galyamov has had an entire season of up and downs. You know what I mean? They came on so strong, had a rough nationals, and now they're strong again. They've been on a whole journey while everyone else is just kind of waiting around. So
yeah, and let's talk about the ladies, because I think some people are probably definitely here for that. Look, my biggest, you know, I think there are a couple storylines. I think you can look at, like, is Valieva the favorite for the Olympics? But I was really focused here on, okay, Kostranaya withdrew before this event. They said it was lingering, effects of COVID, but I also think it's a loss of training time for this year. And like, I think there's like a page reason why she wasn't here. Alexandra Lekernik was visiting them. She has a new hair color. She has a new motivation. She has a new free program. I think, by Shailene Bourne, but I think when I'm looking at her, I was looking at Tuktamysheva, and to me, that's where the opening is. And I feel so bad that it is always Tuktamysheva who is on the chopping block. But I think it reminds me of 2019, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at what Tuktamysheva offered here and has offered throughout the season. And I feel like she's been at like one consistent level, right? I don't think this is the best season of her career, but she's given us like a steady peak level performance. I don't know that it's medal worthy at the World Championships, but it's top 5. I think it's in there for sure. I think, I think at least top 7. She's gonna be solidly, at a certain level. I would look at, do you send Kosternaya, and how well does Kosternaya have to skate at the Russian Cup final to make the World Championships? And if she doesn't do it, is her career over? I think she's really in a do or die situation. What do you think?
Well, you don't think she can just call this season a...
No.
See, I wonder if it's smarter for her to make no statement and just re-enter the conversation in the fall.
Here's why I think that would be a mistake.
Okay.
3 spots for the Olympics. There's Valieva. Everyone's expected Anna to grow and lose everything, but she's still fighting. And there's Trusova. And beyond that, there's Usacheva, who, if she gets a triple axel, I don't see what is so much better about Kosternaya than Usacheva if Usacheva gets a triple axel. Yes, Kosternaya has that intangible, skating skill and performance, but then when you go element to element and who's going to give you more spin points and more this, I think Usacheva also has a special connection with the audience in terms of a performance. And in terms of that Eteri discipline, I think it becomes harder and harder for Kosternaya to compete. So I think that if she doesn't come back in the game, get the ball rolling, I worry that the politics will really have passed her by.
And my fear here would that she would go and not be back at optimum performance. And so do a triple axel, but turn out of it, not do the triple axel and have everybody talk about it, still feel injured and give us some goofy spins. Like, I fear she risks losing more by showing up less than 100% than she does by just being a non-factor and then re-entering a big factor, if we think that's possible.
I feel for Tuktamysheva, but I think if Kosternaya even gives us 1 triple axel, it depends what the program looks like. But if she gives us 1 triple axel, with at least like a double 3 out, no hand down, like credible, I'm sending her to Worlds. I just look at what she can do.
But you wouldn't send her without it.
I would not send her without it.
Is there a reason why Valieva can't go?
She's too young.
She is still too young. Okay.
They've been pretending that, they're seniors this year because they're second year.
I know, so then I forget. I was like...
Think about how amazing that is that we think they're seniors. They're basically performing as seniors. They're in the mix. They're so ready for the Olympics. That's why I think that Kosternaya has to come back. And I think if she is a competitor worth her salt, I think she needs to do this. And I think Sergey needs to do this for his career. Because then, if you're Sergey and you've lost the Zhilina sisters, although I have to tell you...
Tough.
I think not having him on the coaching staff, mistake.
Yeah.
Mistake. Big implosion, I think, for the juniors. If you're Sergey, she has to produce something. What are we paying you for, right?
Right.
And I would look at this, and I think it's put up or shut up time for her. I have to tell you, I'm so ready for those, Cup of Russia finals. I mean, I think if she withdraws, I think the entire world will be so like, oh. Because here's the thing. Yes, she has the COVID card. Yes, I had COVID. I know I am already like anticipating how difficult it's going to be to skate again. And I, realized that, and I've taken the time to rest. But every other skater in Russia has had it. every single one. So,
and not every skater was already struggling. So that was, she started with a struggle, and that's why I wanted to be like, do you just wash the whole season? But I mean, at this point, between the top three here, Valieva, Trusova, Shcherbakova, she's got to have a tough time breaking in if she's going to play the Daria Usacheva card.
Here's the thing, Tuktamysheva has a new short program. I saw nothing in that free skate that was inspiring. I don't think that the music is great for her. She went through those triple axels. I thought that they were both kind of on the cue for me. I thought that they were not super rotated. I think she looks way better than she did at nationals. And that's why I'm giving, Tuktamysheva the edge. But I don't think that Tuktamysheva has the same ceiling that Kostromaya has.
Right.
But Kostromaya has to perform with like real spins, or at least real triple axel attempts that are.
Yeah, I think Daria's has a much better chance of keeping Kostromaya off a team than Tuktamysheva does. Don't you?
Well, but Daria's too young for Worlds again. So.
Oh my gosh, she's too young also? Jeez Louise, I can't keep track of any of them. I see. That's why we're honed in on Tuktamysheva.
You know how we had the Troika last year? The Troika for seniors last year was Anna Shcherbakova, Alexandra Trusova, Alina Kostromaya. And then we had the Troika for the juniors. And remember, I made that comment that Eteri would have swept and swept if not for Maya K. Because remember, it was Kamila Valieva, Daria Usacheva, and Maya Kromich, but Alyssa Liu got in there. So you think about it, and last year the whole rumors was that Eteri was going to take that Senya Sinitsina from the Snow Leopards, so that she was going to take her. And you have to look at Maya Kromich and you're like, are we keeping Maya around? Are we still bringing in Senya? Like, would it have happened already? Is it too late? Does she even need her for the Olympic season? I don't know. I mean, I think Eteri has a stable crop, but
Valieva to me made such a massive statement here with the triple axel in the short program looking so good.
And it's very interesting because she starts with her left arm in front, right? And she only brings this, which you think would make it off axis, but maybe because she brings it up, but it's a very unusual technique because usually you want to bring your both arms up, and that's why it looks very unorthodox. But these Eteri girls in the axel, it's not usually been their jump, but she did it in both.
And there's kind of no question in some of these moments how cleanly it landed. You know what I mean? Like same thing with her quad toe. I have much more confidence in her quad toe than in other people's quad lutzes and the cleanliness of the landing and stuff like that.
Although, did you see Lesha Yagutin? I mean, he was so much here this weekend. But
and you could, in my opinion, I made up all this like armchair psychology as I was like watching it, but a lot of the skaters were a little bit over that. His emceeing.
I mean, he's the perfect MC for an event where no one is wearing masks and they're just like, it's beyond offensive. I mean, it was so offensive, and I know that the fans will like gaslight us and be like, why are you picking on Russia and the whole thing? And it's like, we're in a global pandemic. The rest of the world is actually trying to have a world championships and keep people healthy. And Megan Duhamel had a really good point where she said, are the Russians going to have their own hotel at the world championship? Because this is ridiculous. How much? What's so funny to me is like, it was almost like Eteri never had a mask on. Danny G actually wears it over the nose, but he's younger, and
then often takes it off when talking to the athlete.
Sergei Dudikov never has it over the nose. Other coaches were hysterical in that they had it under the nose, and then there was Aliev's coach where it was falling down throughout the performance. Other people would pull it down when it was as though they can't.
Or they would adjust it to put it just back above the mouth. And I was like, you're making the adjustment. Like, compare that then, like, it was just such, like, I was confused at why athletes at US Nationals sitting alone needed to be wearing it. And yet here we are, and they're just like droves of people everywhere, hugging, kissing, screaming, and they're all like right by. It's just going to take one slip up and that whole team's gone again.
I mean, the rest of the world, you're looking at it like, especially if you look at we need a clock, because we don't know how long do you have your antibodies are good for, right? The current thought is 90 days, right? But there are different strains, and we really don't know. We think we have a good idea, but We don't know. So like 90 days, you're like, okay, if they all had a super spreader event in November, are they still good at the end of March? Like that is really.
And it's more about just their own well-being. They're making choices for their own well-being right now, but you start to enter something like Worlds, and it's other countries are going to want to be separated from you if they don't feel confident that you've taken any precautions coming in.
Especially when you look at some of these skaters, how long were they off resting, right? Because the thing is that if you have a good immune system and you get, and I know what strain you got, and there's so many X factors, but I have to say, Anna Shcherbakova looks, to me, not the same person that she before COVID. And not in terms of necessarily her performance, but in her recovery from the performance. When she was finished here, she looks near collapsing. And then look, even afterwards, it looks like she's like not capable of really even talking to Yagudin after the performance. She gave everything she had. And then she looked really disappointed and worried a little bit after when she was sitting there. I still think she's the favorite for the World Championships based on her overall performance. And she didn't have to peak here. But I do think, how does it affect you psychologically, knowing that it kind of feels like, oh my God, I already know who the favorite for the Olympics is, and it's not me. But she's survived 99 times in Russia. I picked her out as my daughter. Everyone was like, no, Trusova is the one. And she was like basically number 2 that season. Then last year, it's like Kosternaya is the one. Although I think she may have pulled off the world based on how things were going. She grew. We all thought that she was doomed. She's fought her way back this season. I do think that she looked even not as comfortable with her technique. They've changed her program a bit. I think it maybe should go back to the other way, though the choreographic sequence was beautiful, although she really needs to turn that foot out. I think
they're both beautiful. She's hitting beautiful positions. Valieva is hitting beautiful positions. Daria is hitting beautiful positions. But Shcherbakova is letting the music dictate those positions still. So even though Valieva has this like killer leg lift and all this sort of stuff, it's Anna Shcherbakova who's sort of emoting the most. And so I think that will always go a long way.
I have to say, Valieva, I fear that they're just going to bring back the girl with the ball for next year. I want a Firebird program for her. I think
that would be great.
Full costume, like full bird, like full, not in the Shcherbakova way. Like I want her like feathers in the back with like this leg up. I don't know. I want something really special. I don't know why they're keeping Valero. I don't think it's that good. I think that they could do something better.
I very much agree. And again, all the ingredients are there. She just needs to be guided correctly in some of them. She could use the edit of the Daphne Chloe, the Ravel that Gracie did. And never worked for Gracie, but that kind of music would be so elevating for someone like Valieva, I think.
I think there's a lot of different things that she could do. I would love like, well, I don't know if I would give it to her. I would give it to Shcherbakova. That piece, the Mozart 23 that Costner used when she won the World Championship. I would like to see maybe
classic, something super classy, something super elegant. I think that's the way to go with this skater.
I would give her new programs for next year. I don't think that this Bolero is anything iconic, but and I think she's capable of creating a moment. People are going to see that leg at the Olympics and be like, "You see that girl who can kick her leg up like that?" I mean,
if they ever learn to put it with something in the music, it's going to have 10 times the effect. Yeah. But this was a statement: the cleanliness of those landings and the height of those jumps.
What's interesting to me is that she actually seemed nervy in the free, whereas in the short, she just looked like she was having that, the performance that you have as a skater when everything is just sailing and you're just, and it's just right, and everything is so easy. In the free, it looked like she was maybe in her head, but still fighting. And then she goes for that second quad toe, and it was just like butter, like amazing, like just like the one, and even Eteri was like looking at it. It just looked really, really, really great.
It was that moment we had when we watched the junior Grand Prix final with Zagitova that season before the Olympics, and you kind of just have that feeling. where the buzz is going to head. And it seems clear this is where the buzz will head. Whether that will result in something or not, who knows? But
I still, don't count out Daria. Maybe not for Olympic champion, but for podium, for something. Like I look at that skater and I think she has just like this je ne sais quoi. It was such a moment when she hears the music and responds to it more. These Eteri skaters, they all do their programs a million times a day, and that's very good. But and sometimes when you do that, you become robotic. But Shcherbakova was behind her music here, and it looked like Shcherbakova was like falling behind her. The footwork sequence, she only got a level 3, and she really just looked tired and like she wasn't nailing the steps, right? When we watched Usacheva, she paused and she waited in the position and she knew to go down on the dun, 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 dun. That's the one thing that she has that Trusova can never have. And I wonder do they put them back to back on purpose? Is it just karma? Just like, God, like what is happening in terms of like how they go back to back all the time? But it's so exciting to see them do the programs back to back and differences in the performance and in the
and I think, yes, there's that element is for the performer, for her to know we're about to enter the next segment, I should wait and I'm going to fill it so it matches with the music. But also it comes down to the choreographer, because in that Eric Radford Storm, he has very clear sections. Here's a fast section, here's a slower section, here's a sparse section. Now when we speed back up. And the choreography would match sections, but not in the right time. So suddenly she'd enter a new fast-moving type choreographer, like a solid 10 seconds before the music would have taken you right there. So
they should commission Eric to write more music for skating. I think he actually writes good skating music. I think it works for something.
And put it on him. He knows how to listen and watch. If you want a program so bad that has this step work sequence in it, show him the step work sequence and let him put in music that matches it, so it looks as if they're responding to the music, but in fact the music is being inserted to respond to them.
Each time he's done skating music, I think it's gotten better for I think it just works better with his experience and knowledge. But you look at like the piece with him and Megan was like and then the Patrick Chan worked really well, and then this works I think even better than that. So I think it really, he's also working with some really great skaters to express his music, but I think it works very, very well. In terms of Trusova, looking at her, it's so interesting to me. She impressed me so much here. And even though she was finishing behind Anna and she was, second in terms of the senior ladies, looking at this, I was so impressed with her in the second half and in her ability to perform, but we have not seen the consistency, and she's going for these super, super ultra C elements, the quad lutz with the arm over the head. But again, she has this urge to continue to be like a history maker. But I look at her and it reminds me of Nathan Chen, and I was like a broken record that whole season being like, okay, well, they keep changing the program. They keep changing the program, and when are you going to get the consistency? And I think Plushenko's making a lot of really good moves with her, and that quad toe in the second half was beautiful. But if I'm remembering, there was a competition where she did, and this is before she did the ankle injury, when she did a quad salchow, she fell on one, and then the next one
what was the best quad I'd ever seen a woman do. Absolutely.
And I think for her that they really have to pick quads that she can do well. I think at this point, the only thing that's hurting, well, two things are hurting her: falls on an under rotated jump because she's not getting the points, right? And then the falls are hurting the components because she's a hard skater to give components to when she doesn't go clean. But I think if she does go clean with quads, it would create such a moment with powerful music behind her. And, she's not going to become a Kosternaya in terms of skating skills overnight. They really need her to be consistent at the World Championship. She cannot be having these falls. And maybe the quad lutz is a little bit too much to be doing. It's the Tom Z thing. Yes, you can look at base mark, but base mark doesn't mean shit unless you can absolutely.
If you're always taking 4 points away from it. Exactly.
Yeah, you need to absolutely land the quads. And if your quad toe is that good, why not 2 of them? What about the quad sal? Maybe 1 quad lutz. You cannot be 50-50 at the World Championships when this is a skater where she could be second in the world, she could be first, she could be fourth or fifth. And if you're fourth or fifth, I think the Russian Federation is going to be ticked off at you. And if you are Plushenko, you have to know that this is a skater whose father is always looking for the next best coach. Historically, rumor that he's constantly shopping, constantly having meetings with people. I would want to be Plushenko. I would want to look at her result and be like, look what I got her. Because I think he is doing good work with her. And I think they're going to have to really focus on consistency and setting the program for the next 6-7 weeks, because it's getting a little ridiculous that the order, the changing, it's very Nathan Chen. And she's someone who, when you look at one of the reasons she left Eteri was that she wanted to do more quads, and Eteri said you should not do so many quads. Well, she's having the same problem with inconsistency this year. She looks organized. The technique looks better. She looks like there's more of a thought process and more of a conversation, but it still looks like we're throwing in the kitchen sink sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I actually find myself rooting for her more. There's something so endearing about her this year. She has fought so hard. She looks like she's
and again, she's aiming to make the improvements that need to be made. So as I was really looking at it, like, what would it take? She's doing all she can in the amount of time she has. She holds the looks a little bit longer. Okay, now the look themselves now need some refinement, but she wasn't even holding the look before. So like, for that to finally really kind of stick in a competitive situation like that was encouraging, and they're putting in the effort, and you see, like, again, I still think of that quad sow also from the fall, like, and even this quad toe in the second half here, you see the quality of certain elements improving greatly. And it was such a stark contrast. I don't know if you want to talk about the jump event throughout, or sort of as its own separate thing.
The best in the jump event, and I think some of those judges were wrong. Okay.
Well, and compare it to, so we had Trusova's quad triple, 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 and then we had Valieva's quad triple, 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 whatever it was, 8,000. It's all amazing, by the way. But her technique was so clearly to Valieva's was to land with the thud, reset, and like re-jerk her body up into the air for each one. You saw almost that kind of before each pass, where Trusova's was sort of getting rid of that kind of in an impressive way. The one I had hoped was going to take advantage of it somehow was Tuktamysheva.
No, she just
don't show me the same triple axel with the turnout. Like, I was like, why not now? Like, who cares? It's a jump event that's just for fun on TV. And I did think it was very fun, but like, go for the quad toe. I was sort of hoping she would have.
I think if she were ready and comfortable, I think it shows you how much work it took her to get it, right? Yeah. But I'm rooting for her to get it together, but I think it's so hard. That's why I think it's so challenging for her to really, put everything together in place. But, I don't know.
But interesting to see Trusova do just fine with those quad lutzes, and then in the moment, suddenly get a little tight still.
Although the landing scares me a little bit, half, the time, and, we will have to see. But also, I have like just a point about this week, and like a rant, and like if I had my computer, there would have already been a montage of it. And actually, viewers can help me, but there's one move that Danny G does that always proves to me like why he's a bullshit choreographer in like a very new way, and it's such a tell. And he did it in both programs that we saw in the exhibitions after the jump event. And it's the back spiral. It's a back outside spiral that flips to forward inside. And he does it in like footwork as like a transition. And like, this is a move that traditionally is so difficult because there's a skid and you're positioning on the blade, what makes it so difficult when you change from back outside to forward inside. The skaters who did figures with the ultimate body positions and edge control, the very best, like legendary figure skaters went for this move. This is something that Robin Cousins did in his performances. This is something that Paul Wiley did. And I swear I remember Janet Lynn doing it, and then I was studying her programs and I couldn't find it. I was like, well, am I crazy? I know I have seen Janet Lynn do this move before.
You're thinking of Trixie.
No, Anyway, both Zagitova and Medvedeva did it, and both times it was like, I had to send it to Lorna Brown. I was like, is it just me? Is it just, and
Am I not understanding? Yeah.
I said it to Sandra, and she made like a very Sandra remark about, saying it without saying it, the whole deal. Well, you know what I mean. It was one of those like type, I mean, and they do it as like a throwaway, and it looks like a throwaway. And to me, it is the epitome of why he is a cringe choreographer, because they just don't even know where to place it. And the other thing to me, another difference between Alina and Evgenia. Evgenia knows what she can do well, and she sells it. She knows that the triple Salchow is her money. She has been working her way back up. I believe that she really did lose all of her jumps this year, and then we saw her do 2 triple Salchows here, but she went for those, and they were like money. Zagitova pulls off the Lutz with all of her might, which I think this year has shown that like the flip is not her element. Her consistency.
And why do you need to prove anything with that flip? Make it a toe. Who cares? Make it a loop. No one cares.
You're never competing again, okay?
Yeah.
Unless in a professional competition, which I certainly hope we have. I mean, when the astronauts are introducing the skaters, we need it to happen. Ari Zakarian, get on this, okay? I'm trusting you, okay? You and Averboop together. The magic of this event.
Well, and I hope this, because I found this jump event amazingly entertaining. I was like, get some pairs, do some throw quads. Like, I would love to see this develop. What a great thing for these professional people to be involved with.
Around the year 2000, they actually did that. They had pairs. There was a jump event, and Berenstein and Secret Elitza were in it, and they did throw quads. Does anyone remember this? I remember this event happening. Okay, it happened. I'm saying it did. It did. Okay. I'm pretty sure I remember this. Anyway, it needs to happen, but why are you going for the flip? She misses it, and almost every time you're an Olympic champion, you do not, like, yes, I'm impressed that you go for it, but I do think it mars your performance.
Well, it sort of goes back to this idea, like, I think Medvedeva got why she was there. So the exhibition was just to entertain and be showy and get the energy up and be fun. And Zagitova was in a very serious prove something mood.
Medvedeva, that is the most Russian program of all time. You know what moves are coming next. It's going to be toe steps. Like, I love it. Okay, it is so Russian. It is so like dramatic. I think that she could actually be more Oksana Bayul about it. There's one part where she goes from kneeling to up on her toe, and she really doesn't hit the proper place on her foot, and I think that she could give us like more, like a finer skating ability with the toe steps. And I think Evgenia needs to be more moved by her own performance. She needs to be crying and so moved by how the audience reflected to her. And I think Bayul would have sold that program more. My opinion, okay? I think that Evgenia is like entering queen status. I think she's the Madonna of figure skating, but I do think that she needs to own it a little bit more. I think in this performance, you're skating about being an echo of love. You and this person are like echoes of one another. Like, come on, Xenia. Like, I want to see tears at the end of your performance. Okay.
Exactly.
I want your makeup to be running like Britney Spears in every Instagram video. Okay. Free Britney. Okay. Anyway. I was just like feeling it. I was feeling both of the performances. I felt, I really did I wanted a second number. I felt like they should have come out again, and maybe we could have seen Xenia do Billie Eilish, and we could have seen Zagitova do whatever that sexy program that Averboop made for her. Right?
Do you know what I have to say I was glad not to see, though, were like an excessive amount of group numbers or something like that. Like, I was glad that none of that was happening.
Excuse me, what was the opening with like the hockey jerseys and the...
Well, there was...
Loved it. Okay, I don't know.
Like, it's so funny. Like, I came for the event in spite of that, but like, I think there's something to be done.
Jonathan, you're dating someone that works in musical theater. You need to embrace your mainstream quality. Okay, you do it on reality television. You judge beauty pageants. Okay, you're not that dissimilar from Tessa. I know that you try to fight it, but you have an inner Tessa and
give into it. No, but so where I'd love to give into it is like more jump events. I loved this thing, and I loved the 6.0 judging. I love this. I wish people were taking more risks. I would have loved to have seen the quad Sao or Lutz attempt from Kolyada. I would have loved to have seen like other people taking big risks, include the pairs, do some crazy throws, do some crazy side-by-sides. Like, it would be really fun.
Who had the better look for you here? I think there are two nominees. Eteri, I called Galina to find out what kind of a fur it was. She gave me the whole.
I mean, that was some good looking fur on the
Eteri
sleeves.
Georgievna Tutberidze with the fox fur that is like full sleeve action, like incredible. I've learned so much about. Galina was wearing this like obscene coat that she sent me because I sent her a video of Evgenia skating in Red Square, and I said I want to do nothing more in life. And of course, like, and so Galina immediately sends me this like picture of herself in Red Square, and it's like
amazing.
And she calls me. I knew she was going to call me because I asked her, Galina, did you know about Saks Fifth Avenue before or after you moved to America? And she said, oh no, when I was on the Champions on Ice tour, I knew where every Bergdorf was in America, every Neiman.
No, exactly.
She's like, my coat is Marina Rinaldi. It's for people who are too fat to wear Max Mara. I didn't even know these brands. I had to look it up. I was like, oh my God, that is incredible. Okay.
Amazing.
Like,
amazing.
the way she said it was like so good. I think Tatiana Tarasova in her blue fur, and like, I don't know exactly.
And the corresponding like popped lip. That was a moment.
Popped lip and then blue nail polish on those claws. Incredible. It's still a queen.
And often looked put out at other scores. Even if they were the same as her, she would be like, she had like a grimace happening for much of the scoring.
You know, is she being like replaced a little bit on Channel 1? What's happening? But like, they say, are we grooming Trankov? He was very good here. I really enjoyed the bleach blonde hair. I enjoyed his whole performance. Lesha Yagudin, well, it depends what you think about him and Russians, but like, I think he's the perfect, he to me is the epitome of Russia. When I think of him hosting an event, come on, she is still the queen. Why are we not giving us enough Tarasova? How is she feeling? How is her back? What is happening? But I was glad to see her, you know, a true icon in the sport. At least she was judging, but.
And then who would they announce right after Tarasova? But Moskvina. And I was like, oh, she's not even oh my God, she is standing up for the introduction. I love this woman so much. And like her energy there. And listen, I don't know what the heck anybody's saying in those interviews, but she was giving like sassy answers back. You could tell when she was asked them. And I was like, more of her, just in general.
The Estelle Getty of our sport. I mean,
exactly.
I love her so much. And where was Alla though on the judging panel? You know, we got such great glam from all these Russian judges. They really understand the sport and like everything. I think they should have invited Lori Parker. I mean, I really think that Lori would have been great on this panel. I think she needs to up her fashion game for the next nationals.
Okay.
But I would have had Lori here. And where was Alla? You know, Alla is a true icon. We got to see Alexander Lukernik. He was front and center. Elena Fomina. You know,
didn't Alla hug Alina right before she sat down to judge this jumping event? Okay. But it was nice to see Adelina, and I wondered as she was judging this, if she was like, where the hell was all this when I was trying to retire?
I know. And why didn't we get to see like Elena Rodionova? I saw that she was choreographing the program to Carmen. I mean, we need to bring this event back, but it needs to be pros next year. And I think that we need to invite like Ashley Wagner for Team America, Gracie Gold. I think that we need to Paulina Edmonds, Mirai, who was like doing some Madame Butterfly work this week, or what was she doing? I don't know what she had some costume work going on her Instagram. Come on, invite the queens. And
well, because I would assume this event was very well received, and it was also fun to see some of these athletes like step up and have fun with it, and some of them that really couldn't shake it. Like sometimes you'd watch Kolyada and he could not shake serious mode.
Let him be serious. Remember, before the team event, the story went that he was, you know, back when he would make one mistake and then the program would go to hell. They were in Japan for a practice. The story goes that like he messed up and Eteri just lost her mind and was like, you cannot give up in the performance like that. You know, that is going to cost the team. And she was right, you know. I think that he is doing so much better, but I think he battles the nerves, and you can tell him, but you can tell why Mishin is so smart. It's because you know that he's so smart.
Wait, Dave, are you touching your headphones by chance? Okay, sorry. It just got scratchy on my end.
Oh, okay. So we know that he is someone who can do quad lutz, can do quad sal, can do these things, but you can tell like he is one of these people. He kind of reminds me of like you can't overload him competition to competition. You have to bring him up gradually. You know, like maybe the quad lutz is the thing that we put in for Rostelecom next fall. You know, like we work, okay, now we have the 3 quads, and then we see like the step out. But if you look at 2 years ago compared to now, he's Michael Jordan, right? Like he is user.
Right. He's definitely on his own trajectory that is very much working for him on his timeline. I agree. I mean, it's one of those things, he's going to need at least the 3 quads in order to kind of at least be in that conversation. And if one of them is the Lutz, like, holy cow, we've got a real chance here. But yes, I think he's an artist through and through, eh? Like, so something like the jump competition you saw was revving some people up to do really well, like an Inyatov or, you know, whomever. And then all of a sudden for him, he didn't like it. I felt like he was not responding to this format of like,
I think it would be very interesting to talk to Mishin about coaching him, because he's probably as talented as anyone he's ever coached, but you know, have to bring him up very slowly. And I think that that's very clear, you know, to keep the consistency. I felt like maybe the performance in the beginning wasn't quite what he seemed more focused here, but I think we'll see him do this program a couple more times and then seem more comfortable and then give a better performance. I think for this year, to get him on the podium at the World Championships would be such a victory, you know, to know that.
I feel like someone like Mishin also, you know, not only in the same way Brian used to talk about the differences between Hanyu and Javi, I think Mishin has definitely found the way in. And so it was also interesting to see Mishin very pleased at this first pancake, if you will, of this jump content with the sow and the toes. And so I felt like Mishin's satisfaction with the performance was also very promising, that this was a win for them. And I think he's probably got a track in his mind on how this is going to go.
How about Mark Kondratiuk? Like,
what a moment! That was like, whoa.
I mean, he was a surprise, you know, at the nationals, and then coming here and performing so well. It's just, you have to look at it like, oh my goodness, you know, like for someone.
The quad air positions were so like textbook. They were so beautiful.
You look like, do you send him to competitions in the future? Right. I think he obviously, I think everyone wants to see how he's going to perform at the finals for the Cup of Russia coming up in a couple of weeks, because he's someone who you're like, you know, maybe too soon to send to the World Championships, but then you're like, maybe not. Maybe his time is now and he's on the upward momentum, and send him and see how he does, because
I mean, this was an iconic performance, and I'm saying that, well, there was like weird singing to Sleeping Beauty music happening, but even despite of that, like he gave such an energy. He's probably someone that really, what an amazing event for this to have existed for him. Like this was some major points that he got here, some major exposure, some big messages sent.
And how about your boyfriend, Dmitry Aliev? What has happened? Okay.
Well, unfortunately, what's happened is there's been issues technically that have taken him so out of finding the right material for him. What I found him most expressive in was emo-y, lyrical kind of stuff. And all of this music is just like a wrong fit, so it doesn't even show off the kind of pretty deportment he can have. And some of these jumps are nail biters.
I mean, isn't he just doing like the Guillaume Cizeron knockoffs? Like, can't he just ask Guillaume what music he should be skating to? I don't know.
I would love for him. I mean, we've seen what Guillaume did with Kevin, and I thought it was so good. I would love to see what he can do with someone like Aliev, but then when I see his training mate Inyatov also kind of not totally hitting a mark with the music or the programs, it's clear what Dmitry was bringing might have been in spite of his surroundings, not because of them. That special sensitive quality that I love so much. He still has it. He hits a picture on occasion that is just stunning, But he could do that all the time, I think, if given the right material.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Samarin, not his best outing here. Overall, it just was a up and down. The men were not the highlight of this event. In terms of the ice dance, I think it was clear who the top were, but you have to look at, will we see Sinitsyn and Katsalapov, later this season? And if we don't, could the North American sweep at Worlds? I mean, would the judges let that happen? What is going on? But you look at it and you have to think like Stepanov and Bukin, good, but not iconic. I think
what's missing is they need some sort. I personally prefer Piper and Paul. I could unfortunately see Piper and Paul being sacrificed at Worlds and being fourth to a Stepanov and Bukin third, assuming
that would only happen for a Russian team. Let's be so honest. That only happen. I would look at Piper and Paul though and just think that they have the magic music for the free. That in the moment, maybe they're behind after the rhythm dance, but in the moment.
Although their rhythm dance has a lot of great energy, and that's what I was so taken aback by at Skate America the year we saw Stepanov and Bukin do this Moulin Rouge program. That's the free dance or the rhythm dance. And
this at the end, love. She is like the most beautiful girl we've ever seen in skating. If only the skating could match how good she is that Moulin Rouge costume. Okay, that is the most stunning look that I have ever seen in my entire life. I was like, that is like Madison Chalk Test of Virtue realness. Okay, that costume for the Moulin Rouge that she does, the program to me doesn't match it. To me, this team.
No, and when they did the tango or whatever, sort of Latin rhythm dance was happening that one season. And then there was an issue with the music and they had to stop the music because it shorted and they had to restart. And to see the amount of energy, they're just able to just kind of be waiting and then immediately have. And that was their sort of special thing, was this outrageous level of intensity. And these programs with the constant droopy key signature and modal changing that they're trying to do to make not stellar pieces of music fit together. I just don't think it enhances anything. They need something that shows off that they can skate big and energetically, because that's when they get the audience.
Yeah, that Edith Piaf is the best. I don't understand this Crimea River piece of music at all. What it has.
It's not their mood. To me, their mood is razzle dazzle, in your face intensity. It's that Krylova thing a little bit, go that route.
Are we going to see Michael Jackson in 2021? I don't know. I tend to think we won't see it, but I don't know. You never.
No.
Think, but what is happening? I don't know. What a week. I think next week we should focus on the juniors a little bit more, but I have to say, I think that Veronika Zhilina and Sofia Akatieva, the pressure was really on them, and it wasn't their weekend here, although.
Well, Sofia might disagree. I mean, it ended up all right for her at the end.
But not in the same way.
Not decisively, she might have wanted, yeah. Not
in the way of that they were coming in. I think that some other people stole. I mean, I'm looking at Petrosian as being that's a girl that really.
And isn't it funny, Dave? I can't get into it.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason, especially in the short, I was like, there's a disconnect here and I'm not buying what she's selling.
Really? Now, I looked at Petrosian and I was like, that is a talent that is coming up. To me, when you look at Akatieva, I'm like, the jumps are here today, or are they going to be here tomorrow? For me, I'm like, I like Petrosian's trajectory. I like the
I'm looking up because I don't want to mess up this last name of the girl that I was not planning on loving so much. It was Sofia Samodolkina. She was the one that was interesting me more even than Sofia Muravyova.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was interesting. And again, I sort of was expecting a little bit more of a moment potentially from Elizaveta Osokina. Just sort of lost in the mix on this one. But
I mean, I know Akatieva won, but to me, I just didn't. I think especially with the short and the whole thing, it just was not the usual.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They feel in process. This group seemed in process, and I feel like all the talent is there, but I feel like they're in development.
For Zhilina, though, I mean, but again,
Oh,
when you are putting the difficult elements in for the first time, you are going to have these kinds of mistakes. But at the same point, it's so competitive in Russia that no one is forgiving that. No, you know, like I think you can look at it logically and be like, well, this is what happens when you put in, you have pressure, your name, you're like Instagram famous and famous from Ice Age, and people expect you to do well, and then you're trying all these hard elements, and there's pressure on you, and you have to kind of work through it. But I think, yeah, and I think you can look at Samsonov was back, and that was good to see, but not.
you know, there was only one big shock for me in the men, and it was, oh gosh, I don't know these names. Kirill Sarnovsky. He skated to Carmina, and I thought for the short program, and as he came out, I was like, now who in the heck is giving this like petite little guy Carmina? And I tell you what, he skated a bigger, more projected Carmina than I've seen from any senior anytime recently. And again, in the free, he was doing Aranjuez. And I just really liked the skater, and it was just baffling to me that the judges kind of kept him buried, behind some less exciting performances, in my opinion. So
there's so much depth, and there are so many Eteri boys and juniors that have like the good hair. You know, they have this long flowing hair, but they all do the part. I mean, Kutuboy has to get hair.
Had we seen Samsonov's hair dyed?
We had not seen his hair dyed.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
The hair game on these men, they all look like it is picture day, and I am here for it. Okay. And loving it. Okay.
Except their backdrop is just all that ice cream brand.
Oh man, what an event! I think Ted was so much this weekend, but you know, he fit in well. I mean, look, he's like our uncle that he's so there was one point where he was like, you know, rewarding points for quality and deducting for mistakes. That is what's great about the scoring system. And I was like, isn't that any scoring system? What? I don't know. I just think he feels like he doesn't know what to say, but he just wants to talk. And
or he's so afraid of making an error, which is hilarious then with the pronunciation situation that's happening, which he apologized for actually at one point on the air. He was like, I really try and practice, and then when the microphone turns on, I really can't do it. It took him 25 minutes to say Stepanova, and he never got it. And I was like, I feel like I don't know who's trying to teach him. I'm not saying, obviously, I know how to pronounce them, but I think that there's a better way to teach him how to do it. It's like we talked about, it's all about the emphasis for most of these.
He needs to do Duolingo. I think he will feel so much more confident.
Get it in the ear. If you're still saying Zagitova.
Well, that one he should be able to do.
Yeah.
I just think that he's so Canadian and doesn't feel the inherent Russian drama. But then you think he literally has like a second career being like the biggest fan of Russia, but I feel like somehow he like loves it, but isn't understanding that there's such drama. But he knew that Medvedeva would be an ice dancer. That was a strange comment when he was like,
Yes, that was a whole conversation he just had with himself. Yeah.
I loved it because that's like such a fan conversation to like have, but then he said it was their skating skills, and I'm like, no, it would be Medvedeva's drama. That's why she's an ice dancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we got what you mean there, but you're being very polite about it. But yes, the whole thing. Look, he would be clapping for Xenia if she missed that love. You know, he would be the first one. Okay.
Because he'd be like, it was almost around, or he would have found something nice to say about it. Yeah.
Loved the whole kit and caboodle, but
it would have been like it's a great thing that like he's at least able sometimes to, although they were using non-Cyrillic for some of the names, it's helpful for me to just like, when there's only a slight variance in some of them, to see the actual letters, I understand. But having him guide you through it is definitely nice, but it would have helped to have also had a translator, so we could have gotten at least some of the gists of what the conversations were happening in those kiss and cry, because they seem fun, but they could have been totally cringy, they could have been interesting.
They need Ari Zakarian with them. Come on, it would be so fun. And I think it would be so great. Okay.
With surtitles.
Yeah, I miss Ari there for Russian event. You just need that like baritone Boy, like really be just making me.
Well, and a sporting spectator energy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, come on. There's so much happening. I could feel Medvedeva's power, okay, leading this Russian team. I just was so here for it.
I mean, I have to say, just as like it came up on a YouTube thing on the aside, when I kind of just watched Kevin or something from the French nationals this week, which was fine, but not incredible or anything to report on really. But then it got me thinking about, of course, all this propaganda that Russia is pushing with these kinds of events. And you think like, it's true, even where we may think they may not be as strong in the men's field, there was a great deal of depth here. There was a great deal of young jumpers that were throwing out quad flips and quad loops and marks, like all those gorgeous, like they really are creating deep fields in several disciplines here.
Are doing the most, okay? They are doing the most for skating this season. They deserve an award. Not for mask wearing, but for keeping us entertained. Absolutely, okay?
Yeah.
They're doing so much. And I'm sorry that I can't put the intro on this week because my computer is being fixed and it's being mailed back and it won't, of course, come until tomorrow, but the whole deal. You know what? This is the most, Jonathan, you've been doing the most standing for over an hour.
Yeah, I'm only like a quasi like squatting and like adjusting as I needed.
So we are going to have to, give everyone an update next week how we are all doing. Hold it edge.